Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Once again, I am KageKaze. We're in Diablo 3, and we're looking at the Witch Doctor. And the Witch Doctor has some very interesting loot on him, does he not? It's a very interesting helm that I found for him. Alright, well, let's go ahead and take him for a spin as we've just hit Act 2 in Nightmare.
Very interesting topic. I sell jewels.
What you do does not define you. Where do you come from?
Xiangsai. Great families warred in the streets. Political intrigue and bottomless wells of treachery around every corner.
I notice that you still tell me nothing of yourself.
Oh dear. Perhaps you are not asking the right questions. You may notice that jewels you find enhance your already considerable abilities. I can combine similar gems to make a more powerful one. At the moment, I can only offer you a few basic pieces of jewelry. Now, if you bring me supplies, I will eventually be able to offer you exciting and exotic new designs. But it doesn't have to be just business with us. Come by and talk anytime, my friend. I heard a rumor that there is a strange and mysterious jewel crafting device hidden in the aqueducts of the Daugr Oasis. I have a mind to go search for it myself. Don't worry, I won't go alone. I'm sure I'll find someone to show me around.
I find that amusing, considering how you meet him the first time. So they added a little story to make sure that it fit in line with your next playthrough.
It's even harder than I remembered, Ed. I'm afraid I'm growing weak. I need a drink and a bath. And something to keep the sun off. Or maybe just a nice cool jewel to put on my forehead. That will fix everything.
Alright, well, looking forward to moving on here into Act 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little tribute to Cain I put at the end of the last video. I'm going to tell you I had a lot of fun making it. I just found it amusing. Well, before we move on, let's see. Nope, she actually doesn't have anything to say. Although, before I picked her up, she did have a blue asterisk over her head. Hold on. I want to take a look here and see what happens. Yeah, see, she's got the asterisk over her head. Let's... Huh. Okay, she's got a journey. Let's go ahead and talk to her.
How long have you looked for me?
Well, it was not very easy to find you. I had to search for days. When I woke up alone, I did not know what had happened. I wrote about it a little. You may read more if you wish. I felt no fear when they sealed the tomb before me, only a sense of peace as my mind drifted away into the darkness. It seems I opened my eyes only seconds later and beheld the chamber in ruins, half buried in sand. I have left everything behind. Only hope guides me now.
Interesting. I don't think I've run across that before. Alright, well, a little hidden option there. Let's go ahead and pick her up. It's kind of a shame that it doesn't show up here in the context menu. Alright, we are about to reach the point where we can...
I know these deserts well.
Yes, you do. Well enough that there's two of you. Ho ho!
Take heed, traveler. Cultists guard these desert roads, and they will slay any who pass.
They may find that difficult. I have come to kill them and their leader.
Then you must not go alone. I shall accompany you.
And now I have
There
two
are illusions
Enchantresses.
out there. Mirages to some. But I can see them for what they are. The Coven's foul magic. They will lead you to your death.
I appreciate your concern, but these cultists are known to me. I do not fear their traps.
She seems very familiar.
Does she? Really? Amusing. Yes, a little bit of the initial load there. Whew. Wow. It gets bad in the beginning. It's even worse with recording, of course, because it takes a few processes away, but, you know, not that bad. We're able to compensate, although I am getting covered in bees. really.
I have been healed.
I'm gonna say, I'm not really looking forward to this act. Between the insects and... oh, my dogs. Get the dogs back. And the Lachnai warriors. Oh, especially the Lachnai. Those are... At least the bees I can kind of dodge. But the Lachnai I'm a little afraid of because their combos are pretty hard-hitting. Just have to keep away from them, I guess.
How did you know about the ambush?
I am an Enchantress. The ways of magic and illusion are familiar to me. My name is Arena.
Thank you, Irena. But tell me why you are truly here. I sense you have a greater purpose.
Well, I am also looking for someone. But here, let me clear the way for you. You must be one of my sisters. How wonderful it is to see you again.
I guess when they take the sisters thing, they take it literally. Identical, maybe.
Protect the people! Iron Wolf!
Here we go.
I do not have enough mana.
Yeah, this won't be too terrible. Especially because I have 2 enchantresses to protect me.
If not for you, the Lacuni would have eaten well this day.
Is the road ahead so filled with danger?
More than Lacuni stalk the road. Cultists cast their spells from 2 desert layers to disguise the Black Canyon Bridge.
Let us head north to the Howling Plateau. The cultist magic seems to be emanating from there.
Okay, so I need to remember it's Lacuni. Lacuni. I don't know why I always have a problem with that word. Maybe because it's made up. I don't know. I have no idea.
There is another illusion here. Cultists try to hide their
We're going to
footsteps.
progress.
Their spells are weak and easily countered. If we follow these prints, we can find their lairs and halt the rituals. I will seek out any other traces of their magic.
I don't believe Arana has too much to say to her other self. So we're not going to have too much conversation there. There wasn't too much between Cormac and his other self, although I think it was a little bit more.
Do you see that enemy?
Here we go, my
Let us cleanse it from this land.
first champion pack of Act 2. See how we fare. Keeping my distance.
Need help?
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I almost didn't see that. Alright, blow up the dogs, give me a little bit of health. There we go. Put up the wall. Blast them with a whole bunch of damage and poison, and with Vision Quest I'm doing pretty good still.
Need more mana.
Oh, here comes some arcane beams. What are they? They're nightmarish and they haven't really hit me yet. So no need to worry about that.
Do not have enough mana.
Oh, that wasn't really bad at all. Alright, moving on. So, I'd like to say thanks to everyone that's come by and watched the Diablo Digest. Especially if you're new to the channel, welcome if you're watching this as well. This is obviously a very informal series here. I tend to do analysis on skills as I get them, and I change up my build as I play. So basically, every time I level up, I'm going to get new skills, and I'm going to put them on my barn, and I'm going to force myself to use a build with them. And it kind of forces me to learn how the skills work with each other, and to determine if they would be viable in any way. Uh-oh, that's not good. So my next level is not that far off. We will be switching some skills here very soon. I've taken a look at what the next skills are already, and I'm looking forward to them. Oh, these walls. Really with the walls. So what do we got? Waller, Jailer. Oh yeah, that's nice. Give you a bunch of bugs and make sure you can't run away from them, huh? Anyway, the Diablo Digest was definitely really fun to do. It was, as I mentioned in the video, it was something that I have been wanting to do, some kind of podcast type of thing. Just to do the news and whatnot. I tend to talk about news in the segments here with the Witch Doctor, but I knew this was not going to be the best way to do it in a way that would get people to get into discussion. You know, I've got some people that follow the Witch Doctor, obviously, and it's very fun to do. And I think it does bring up some interesting discussion points, but obviously, people that are looking for things to discuss are probably not going to follow a Let's Play type of game or video. So that sparked the whole Diablo Digest thing. And man, that was a lot of talking. I gotta tell you, I needed a break from Diablo a little bit, or doing a video on Diablo after that, just because it was a lot to talk about. An hour and a half of pretty much just sitting there, and obviously it was very informal. Sitting there and basically...
These deserts.
Yes, though they have changed so much. The great sea of Geraz was here in my own time.
Definitely a change then. Global warming, right?
Look, more hidden footprints.
Yes, thank you. Hidden footprints. That's important.
This is one of the cultist lairs. They are casting part of the illusion inside.
So obviously it was very informal. I pretty much just sat there, and this is especially why I thanked the guys at Diablo Fans, is I basically took the news posts on Diablo Fans and I started reading them. You know, I had read them already, and so I kind of had a preliminary idea of what I wanted to talk about. But there was no major planning on it. It was going to be one of these things where, you know, I wanted to just go over them. I wanted to give initial thoughts. You know, it's kind of like doing an initial impressions thing on a game. You know, like instead of doing a full-blown review, it's like, you know, here it is. Here's what's happening, and you know, based off of these initial, you know, these posts from Blizzard employees, you know, how do I feel about that? And it was a wide range of topics. And there was so much news that it really, going into detail on any one of them, as you saw, was just really made it quite a lengthy video. So thanks to all those that actually watched through it. I know there were probably a good number of people that didn't, and that's kind of why I include the points of topics, points of interests, in my video description when I can. Obviously, it's a bit of work involved with that, but you know what? I figure it's a good idea to be able to help people find particular things of discussion. Well, that was weird. That was a long pause.
Need more mana.
Oh, this guy just does not want to die, does he? Look, ooh. I got a survivor thing for that. Awesome.
Look, more hidden footprints.
So yeah, that was great. I'd kind of like to continue that, and hopefully maybe with less stories, just so maybe the video itself would be shorter, or we might be able to talk about a more specific topic. Obviously, I'm always welcome to feedback, criticisms, suggestions, just conversation in general. As I love seeing what people think, I love getting debates sparked. If you don't follow me on Twitter, it was something I put out there recently. It's like, you know, I love it when we had a healthy debate. Just putting the post on Diablo Fans, there was just a tiny bit of the debate that went on there, and I rather enjoyed that. It's like, you know, as long as each side can be civil and you can engage in a healthy discourse, you know, no ad hominem attacks, things like that. As long as we can talk about the topic at hand, without it getting heated, you know, because obviously everyone's going to have their own idea of what's good for the game and what they want to see from the game and what's fun to them. And I encourage that. I really think that it's good for everybody to talk about that, because that's where ideas are brought from, you know, or come from, is having opposing views and being able to get them to kind of reach a middle ground. It's one of those things I think Blizzard typically does well, and as was mentioned in the comments of the Diablo Digest, it's like, you know, when I was discussing about these things, I don't usually engage in the typical Blizzard bashing, you know. And my response to that was, you know, I see Blizzard as a company typically wanting to do the right thing. Whether or not we agree with them, or whether or not they do the right thing, you know, it's another story, but they generally seem to try. And this guy just doesn't want to die. And I would prefer that, a company that, you know, at least seems to be willing to listen and attempting to do the right thing, rather than a company that continually screws over its fan base or does something and never either tries to explain it or never tries to make it good, or, you know, let's say a company that just typically churns out a whole bunch of games over time and they don't really tend to offer support for that game. I especially don't like it when a company is dishonest with the people that play their games, and I am specifically, in this case, referring to the whole SimCity thing. That was definitely a major blunder, I feel. There was just so much done wrong there, and you take a look at something like that, like people complained about the Diablo III launch, with reason. I mean, it was certainly a problem, but I felt like people blew that a bit further out of proportion than they probably should have. On the launch day, if you've ever played a Blizzard game, especially with how popular they are, you tend to know that, you know, there's going to be a bit of a problem. I've played WoW when expansions hit. I know what it's like to try and log on to World of Warcraft when there's a new expansion. Granted, I stopped on the last expansion because I decided to move on to other games, but I know what it's like. I know how it works. That's what I was expecting with Diablo 3. It was a bit more than I thought it would be, actually, because as popular as Diablo 2 was, I was kind of surprised just to see the outpouring of support for Diablo 3. Just so many people wanted to go ahead and play that, and I'm so happy by that, to see that the series was viable and popular. Means there will be more in the future, hopefully. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, with that many people trying to log into the game at the same time, obviously, you're going to have problems. We look at SimCity and its problems. I mean, it was pretty much the same thing. Lots of people trying to get in. Granted, the thing about SimCity is not near the amount of people, I imagine. Actually, that's hard to say. I can't say that. I don't want to say that without proof. I don't know the numbers, so therefore I can't say. SimCity is a popular game, so it very well could have been a similar amount. But with Blizzard, they resolved their login issues honestly fairly quickly. After the first maybe 1 or 2 nights, I don't remember there being a major issue. I could usually log in. I mean, the first night was a nightmare, obviously, but, you know, on a midnight release, getting to play the game at 0 hour, sure, that would be nice,
What
but...
shall you do when Maghda is dead?
Belial and Asmodan, lords of hell, plan to destroy us all. I shall destroy them first.
How curious. You must be the one I was meant to find here.
Oh, no conversation from herself? Shame. You know, it's one of these things where I see people that they see a game is coming out on a particular day, particular hour, whatever, and then they take time off from work or something to be able to play on a release day. And it's just one of those things like, why would you... I mean, I know the excitement of wanting to play a game for the first time, but for a game like that, that's kind of hard to want to do, you know? It's like trying to take a day off on a Tuesday and wanting to play WoW.
My age, but I have seen it in my recent travels, though I wish I had not.
I keep waiting for her to talk to herself, and she doesn't. You know, try and take a day off on Tuesday to play WoW. That's going to be a hard time for you there, because if they ever release a patch, then that's patch day. by all means, I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't want to do that or you shouldn't be excited to play a game on its release day or hour, but it's one of those things where I've come with this. I have a certain expectation about these things now. Now, I suppose the argument there would be for Diablo that if there would have been an offline mode or a single player that didn't require an online connection, then it wouldn't have been a problem at all. And of course, the same argument is being levied on SimCity. And, you know, for that, you know, certainly true, because SimCity is not typically a multiplayer game. Whereas Diablo, I suppose it depends on where you come from there. When it came to Diablo 2, I was playing Diablo 2 in Battle.net all the time, so I honestly was playing Diablo 2 with an always-on connection anyway. So for Diablo 3 to have an always-on connection requirement didn't really jar me as much as it did other people. I just kind of expected it. I thought it came naturally, you know? Yeah, I need to up my damage. It's taking too long to kill some of these things. Of course, I should switch my build out. Probably putting my foot in my mouth or getting people angry already talking about not expecting to play on release day. I mean, but you know, that's my personal thoughts and opinions on it. You know, like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, right? Because I certainly agree that the always-on thing sucks, but I understand their argument for it, especially when it comes to the auction house. Don't necessarily agree with it. I would kind of wish that they'd have a way to be able to do it without needing always on. You know, maybe you make a way that so that the purchases are handled separately. I mean, but I think that's not the big deal. It's not really purchases, is it? It's really the duping thing, which, you know, I hear reports of duping, but I sometimes wonder if they're accurate, because even in beta, sheesh, come on, guys. This is horrible. Electrified minion. So wait, what's the main guy? Oh, mortar. Right. I've been dodging mortars. How did I not know that? Oh boy. All right, dogs. But I question a little bit some of these reports. Oh, on duping. Gosh, I already had to blow the dogs again. Okay, one down. Continuing. Because even when the closed beta was happening, you know, you could buy items from vendors that had the same mods always. And people were confusing those bought items with duplicated items because they always had the same stats. And so that's what we're kind of seeing, is we're seeing some items on the auction house that are being reported as dupes because they have the same stats, and in some cases they're not entirely incorrect. From what I understand, though, some of those items could be the result of lags or item duplication bugs that they did have in the game that weren't being widespread manipulated, because there was really, I don't think there was a guaranteed way to make it happen. So I can't say if item duping is near the issue it was then in Diablo 2, because certainly in Diablo 2 it was horrible. I mean, that's why Stones of Jordan became a resource. Well, that and gold was useless in that game, really. There's hardly any point aside from gambling. Well, let's see, anything... Enchantress? Nope, nothing. Alright, before we move on then, let's go ahead and make a build off of the skills that we got here.
Most impressive.
Oh, I thought I had leveled up earlier. Maybe that was her. I guess she did. I wasn't paying attention as I was talking, of course. But hey, at least now I don't have to worry about it, because now I'm not a liar. I do have a new build. Oh, yeah, this is the beautiful thing. This is the beautiful thing about live commentary while playing a game. You know, it happens. Especially when you get into a conversation or a topic, it detracts from what you're playing, really. I mean, I think that's also one of those things where as I'm playing, I never really play the best that I could, simply because I'm focusing on talking at the same time as playing the game, as I try not to stay silent for too long. So we've got Zombie Charger, So I'm going to change some things up around here. I'm going to get rid of sacrifice, I think. So we're going to do that. Probably, instead of the dogs, let's go back to my gargantuan, because he lasts longer. And what do I want? The protector? No, he only lasts for a few seconds. So I want either the giant or the gargantuan humongoid. He gets a cleave, which is quite nice. He grows and gets movement speed, attack speed, all that lovely stuff. But that only happens every now and then. This is probably better for single target. I'm going to go with the humongoid. I've been using the Restless Giant for a while. Let's just do that. So I'm going to take my decay skill here, and we're going to put the zombie charger with explosive beasts. So I summon an explosive zombie dog that streaks forward to my target before exploding, dealing 236% weapon damage as fire to all enemies within 9 yards. Oh, that's not bad. It does a decent amount of damage, 236 instead of 205, and it has an AoE. I'm quite happy with that. I think I will like to try that out. I think that's better than, say... Which one was it? Was it Wave of Zombies? Yeah, it was, I think. Yeah, Wave of Zombies, which fires them off kind of 3 in a V formation. You know, 1 in center, 2 on the sides. And that's only 100. That was 115 each. Total of 345 damage, I think. And yeah, that's great if you can get right up to an enemy and hit them with that, but typically not worth it.
Strife? Of constant fighting?
We can rest when this is all behind us. Now we fight.
You are not very good at lifting the spirits of others, are you?
I wasn't hired to lift spirits. I was hired to slay demons. I do it well. Alright, so we're going to get that, and I'm going to move my... How do I want to do this? I kind of want to keep the wall of zombies. I'm not sure if I would rather get something else in its stead, though. I am thinking... Let's do this. I'm going to move the wall of zombies there, and then I'm going to get the other skill that I unlocked. There it is. Locust Swarm. Disease Swarm. So enemies killed by Locust Swarm leave behind a cloud of locusts that deals 75% weapon damage as poison over 3 seconds to enemies who stay in the area. So I can basically hit an enemy, get them with the locust, it'll spread, it'll be doing damage over time. If an enemy dies with or from the locust, then it leaves a cloud and it starts doing even more damage to any other nearby enemies. So this sounds like it would be good in theory. So we're going to go ahead and grab the diseased swarm. Let's go ahead and take a look at the... Oh, that's cool. Can I rapid fire? Oh, wow. Nice. That's not bad at all. I think I will be enjoying this guy. So let's take a quick look here at this guy. So if we're dealing 75 over 3, we're pretty much looking at, when it leaves a pool, about 25% weapon damage over time. Let's just take a look at it. Slightly different color hue, nothing too major to look at. Let's try and... There we go, just put the wall down. I want to see if the swarm... Okay, there's the swarm. You can see it sitting there, so I kind of wanted to lead the enemy into it, but... See, there it is. And how long does that last? I imagine it's only lasting for 3 seconds. Alright, need to summon my gargantuan. Alright, we're going to give this a shot. I kind of like the running zombie dog. Looks like I found another sub-area. This will be the Sirocco Caverns. Okay, having the exploding zombie dog is quite nice. Doing a decent amount of damage.
Heal me.
I do need probably a better way of healing myself. Honestly, you know what? I like having... You know what? I like having Spirit Walk. Maybe instead of Wall of Zombies? Because that's quite nice. I especially like creepers. I like what that does. It does damage over time as I put it down. But what I think I want to do is I want to grab... Where is it? Soul Harvest. And I'm thinking I'm going to use Siphon with Soul Harvest. So that will give me a method of healing myself. And I think that's really important, especially in this act right now. I can't hit it with the dog. So it's going to be nice to have that little bit of healing. So we're going to go ahead and probably... Oh, hitting with this dog is not going to be easy, is it? Especially with boundaries. What I like about a lot of Witch Doctor skills is they have that lobbing effect. Oh, I hardly got anything out of that. So he's got a lot of indirect spells, such as Spirit Barrage and Firebomb. I can hit enemies across obstacles practically at any point. This is a skill that doesn't really allow me to do that, but it hits very hard, which is why it has the limitations that it does. I mean, it makes perfect sense that if you're going to have an ability that hits really hard, it's got to have some kind of drawback. It's usually how they do the balancing. Basically, the skills that don't do as much typically have something else that they're compensated with. Lower cooldowns, additional effects, something like that.
Need help.
So the beautiful thing is not only am I getting health back from my Soul Harvest, I am of course getting stacks of additional damage. So yeah, this is a pretty good personal damage buff here. Oh, you know what I need to do is I need to get rid of Zombie Handler. Granted, it gives my Gargantuan additional health, but I'm not really needing it. I'm going to keep Vision Quest because that's keeping my mana high while using a high costing spell such as Zombie Charger. So what do I want though? This gives me mana back when I hit with a Spirit spell. Spirit Walk, Spirit Barrage. Soul Harvest counts in that, does it? So that gives me mana back if I hit with it. I don't really think I need to worry about that, though. Could do Gruesome Feast once again to give intelligence with health globes. Could do... Oh, here we go. The Sycophants would work, actually, because I'm using Firebombs, Charger, and Locusts. That all counts, right? Acid Cloud, let me see. Locust Swarm, yes, that counts. Firebomb counts. Zombie Charger, that might not be a bad idea. That would give me my Sycophants back. Of course, I could always just get Fortitude. That reduces all incoming damage. It's a thought. I think it's between Fortitude and the Sycophants. Let's go with these guys for now. Yeah, sorry, I know it lowers your health pool. You didn't have to be all dramatic about it. Jeez. Yes, I feel that that hits sufficiently hard. So since I was speaking of the Diablo Digest, it looks like I might have something to talk about here soon. At the very least as a news recap. Might not have as much opinion. It depends on the answers, because the question and answer phase of the next Ask the Devs has been started. So they're focusing on itemization. People will have asked their questions about itemization, and Blizzard, of course, will respond to them. And I will, of course, sit here and get hit by stuff and lose a whole bunch of health. I want to try and find some creatures. And it looks like I am failing to do so. I'm just kind of sitting here with low health. Don't mind me. Playing dangerously. It's not hardcore. I'm getting survival awards. Why the hell not, right? Okay, let's see if I can do this without dying. I want to try. Come on. Group of monsters. Group of monsters. Could have been better. Could have been worse. I like blowing things up. I really do. These dogs are perfect for that. So I'll take a look at the question and answers that they have, and I'll at least do a recap for those that prefer to watch here, and if there's anything interesting worth talking about, of course I will go over it. I believe only part 1 is done, so I have to wait for part 2. Oh, jeez. I'm like spending my time in perpetual state of low health ever since I hit Nightmare. This is definitely making me consider just starting to pick up as much vitality as I possibly can. Oh, Vortex. Okay, get that out there. Come on.
I am hurt.
Sheesh. Oh, and they're frozen. This is going to be... Oh, this is beautiful. Okay. Come on. Excellent. Got a few stacks there. Get the locusts out there. Sheesh. Okay, just use a potion.
I do not have enough.
Crap. Vision quest, please. Vision quest. Yeah. Hit the tunnel. Come on. There we go. Some locusts out there. Grabbing some health. Running through the frozen orbs. Why not?
Enemy we have laid low.
Ah. I didn't feel too bad. Definitely having to run around and work for my kills more often than I have in the past. Go. Oh, I lost the Gargantuan apparently. Come back up, buddy. Lord Fluffington, you are being summoned. Oh, this may not be good. Ow! Oh no, come on, I'm slowed. Oh no, not again. Sheesh. Okay, Gargantuan is going to die here pretty soon.
I do not have enough mana.
Okay, come on, Vision Quest, please. So I gotta say, I'm really liking this zombie charger explosive beast thing. It's kind of like having a mage with an explosive bolt spell, really. I gotta say, when it comes to diversity, the Witch Doctor is probably my favorite. Just, there's so many different skills that Witch Doctors have, and definitely they're unorthodox, like the zombie charger, but when you look at them, like something like this, you can almost equate it to other normal spells, like I said, like an explosive bolt. You know, there's just certain things the Witch Doctor can do that emulate other abilities, or just have this sense of control. It's a very unique class, and it can do so much. It's got crowd control, it's got pets. You can build it however you want, really, and it's probably one of the best classes I feel in the game, just because of that diversity, because you can make what you want. And honestly, the whole idea behind summoning fetishes, pets, and all sorts of things like that, it's just really cool. The Witch Doctor was probably going into beta, actually I can say, going into beta, before I started playing this game at all, the Witch Doctor was my least favorite class. Didn't care about it at all.
You make strange noises.
Oh, I must practice my spells lest they fail me in the heat of battle. Do they really sound so odd?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, they do. So anyone that followed my coverage of the Diablo 3 beta before the game came out would pretty much be able to tell you that the Witch Doctor was the last video I did. I covered all the classes, and I finally got to the Witch Doctor, and I'm like, I just don't know what to think of this guy. And then as I played him, it was like, wow, this guy's got some really neat abilities. And part of the problem was I just couldn't really imagine how they worked when I was reading them on paper. You know, I looked at all these skills, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But I had a very hard time visualizing in my head what kind of a build would I put a Witch Doctor into. I mean, he can do so much. He's got so many capabilities that I was just honestly dumbstruck at what am I going to do with my Witch Doctor? How am I going to build him? And then once I started playing him, it's like, oh, okay, this is really cool. I like this ability. I don't like that ability. Abilities that I thought worked a certain way didn't. And yeah, I mean, as I've gone to play him and made him the focus of this video series here, it's proven that, you know what, I really like him. And just playing these different builds as I get them, as I level, has really just shown me what this character is capable of, and I'm looking forward to finishing him up, honestly. Oh dear, he's gonna get away. Come on.
I think it is time for you to know my true tale.
Need more mana.
Uh-oh. Gonna run out of mana. Not gonna be able to kill it. Oh, that's annoying. He ran away so much, I couldn't do much. Alright, let's hear your
I
tale.
am not from Chaldea.
Okay, I guess we're really not gonna hear from her because she didn't talk to herself again.
You will find it to the north, though it is still some distance away.
Alright, well, at this point anything she says will probably be new anyway, since I was traveling with Cormac last time. Alright, finding the next waypoint means we go back to town to find out that, hey, Covetous wants to talk to us. Please, tell us your wisdom.
I knew you would lead me to exciting and mysterious places. We should encounter the jewel I seek any day now.
Tell me of this jewel. What does it look like?
Sometimes a ruby, other times a glorious emerald, or a stunning diamond. It is very good at hiding.
So it is aware there is a dark spirit within?
A very good question. A dangerous question. You are getting better at them.
I noticed that you did not answer me.
Yes. Well, a good question answers itself.
Oh, nice. Truly. Sure you're not Loki in disguise? I feel like you are.
You try to give a young man some advice, and he assumes you are the Sensei god of thieves, traveling in disguise as an elderly jeweler. I understand his confusion, as I do share certain features.
How strange. The spirits tell me that you are often mistaken for this god.
That would be correct. But enough about me. Who are these spirits you speak to?
All who die pass from this world to Imwiru Ikura, the true one. They speak to me, and some of them say they know you from times long past.
Of course they do. I am very memorable.
The people of Shansai worship 59 gods, but few are more revered than Zai, the exiled trickster god who travels the face of the world disguised as a humble merchant. Tales of his adventures range from ingenious thefts and practical jokes to more lurid exploits, none of which I'm comfortable recording here.
And this is why I love Covetous Shen. Yeah, I really want him to be the focus of an expansion. I want to know more about him, his story, and this jewel that he is seeking. Yes. Alright, I've gotten rid of most of the stuff that's not important. It looks like I found a ring that's going to be pretty decent here. We look at the 39 strength, 98 intelligence, 28 vital, 13 poison resist, and health globes grant additional life. We can see that its intelligence being fairly high, especially considering my one ring has none. This one only has damage on it. The intelligence being high, that's going to really help me out. And of course, having the vitality is nice too. My question is which ring I should remove here. This ring obviously gives me life, damage, and protection. Gives me a decent amount of damage, 71. Now this ring gives me more life and protection comparatively, so I get 476 on this and 1.8 protection. 1.8 is quite a bit, especially compared to this 1.1, so it's almost double the protection. It is more than double the additional life. The difference, of course, being that I gain more damage if I replace the left ring, less damage if I replace the right, but since it has been one of those things where going through this difficulty, I've noticed I've been having some survivability problems. I think I want to go ahead and replace the right ring, which will give me more life and protection for less damage. So go ahead and see here that it is worse than the left ring other than damage, so I will salvage that to pull my gem out of it. And I found some gloves here that have Dex, Int, Vital, Poison Resist, and Life Regeneration. I will lose the critical hit damage, but I think that's fine because I don't have a lot of critical hit chance, only 6%.
The ground, it's shaking.
Oh, that poor guy has no legs.
Can't feel my legs. Oh, my legs.
Oh, you don't have a body now. Sorry, buddy. I don't think I've run into this guy before. Monstrous Dune Thresher, huh? Alright, well, let's take care of it, shall we? Get some, there we go. Plenty of damage. The build is definitely doing a decent amount of damage, but I'm thinking I might need to find some way to increase mana. Like maybe instead of doing the fetishes, if there was something in here I could do to return a bit more mana. Spiritual Attunement, for example. Gruesome Feast may do it, gives me a bit more damage and gives me mana back when I get health globes. Probably better to do Spiritual Attunement or Bad... oh, I'm sorry, not Bad Medicine. Blood Ritual. Mana costs are paid with life. I don't know about that. Alright, that's okay. I thought that was just pretty cool here, that little event. That's one of the things I really like about Diablo 3, is the random events that you run across, and how some of them are exceptionally rare, so you might not see them as you play a few times, and some people may never even see some events. I remember there's a guy in the... another waypoint. There is a guy in the Cathedral of Act 1 that I've run across all of maybe 2 or 3 times in the entire time I've played this game. It's something that crazed. I ran into him in the beta once or twice, and I was lucky enough to get footage of him during that time, and just I hardly ever see him, and it's amazing how rare that is.
This was some kind of magical device. It must have been destroyed along with its master.
Indeed. It looks very similar to the device that was used to imprison Zoltan Kulle. Possibly the same, who knows. Lots of history here. And it looks like the traveling along the road to Alcarnus has unlocked another conversation option, so I'm going to go ahead and start that now.
Is everything as the prophet said?
Well, I did not expect you to keep company with a Sarah.
You mean Tyrion?
I knew what he was the instant I beheld him. Even his presence makes me quite nervous.
Well, he is here to aid us.
You do not deserve it. Tyrion sacrificed all he knew to aid us. I hope it is worthwhile. Well done.
Huzzah, another level, another build. Flaming Dart. Hex, Painful Transformation. And Mass Confusion. Mass Hysteria. Okay, this is going to be a little bit painful as some of the skills I'm using are going to replace ones I'm kind of relying on right now. But hey, let's take a look. So, Poison Dart with Flaming Dart ignites the dart so that it deals 180% weapon damage as fire at once. So we're basically removing the damage over time component in order to just make it do everything all together. And the beautiful thing is that it actually makes it do more damage. So instead of 140, it's 180. So that's not bad. I like the fact that it will be hitting instantly. I kind of like it a little better than Splinters as well, as Splinters kind of makes you sit there a little bit longer because you're firing 3 darts. And not only that, but the 3 darts can potentially miss. One dart can hit, the others can miss. That's 3 darts that deal 60, so you're looking at 180 there, I believe. So Flaming Dart is the same. So Splinters and Flaming Dart, honestly, not much difference other than the execution. And I think the difference here would be in your build. Like, Splinters does poison damage, so if you wanted to combine Splinters with something like Bad Medicine, you could. You know, using the poison damage to proc something else. So it's a decent choice. I don't think you get anything that helps your fire damage, but if you wanted to build fire damage, hey, there you go. So let's go ahead and grab Flaming Dart. We're going to go ahead and use that. Hex has been added, so it looks like I will be... Let's get rid of the Locust Swarm. I like the Locust Swarm, but I like having this button for abilities like this. Let's go ahead and try it.
You say you feel empty. Why?
There are fragments of myself that are lost to me. They linger in the corners of my mind, just out of reach.
Oh. I don't have anything to say about that. We're going to go on. Hex gets Painful Transformation. Hex causes the target to bleed for 12% weapon damage as physical. So we will get the chicken, turn them into a chicken, and we get a bleed. So that's not bad. So it's damage over time. Yeah, I'm kind of iffy on that. I mean, yeah, it's nice to do a little additional damage, but I think I would rather do like Hex or Jinx here, because that makes them take 20% additional damage from all sources. That's much better, I think, than a bleed that's 12% of your weapon. Now, that could depend. If you have a really powerful weapon, I guess, then this wouldn't be too bad. But overall, it seems like Jinx is better, just because 20% additional damage from all sources helps not only you, but if you're in a party, Jinx would be far more beneficial because all of your allies are also doing additional damage. I just don't see any weapon potentially doing like 12% of your weapon damage as physical. You know, I think the problem here, let's see. Summons a fetish for 12 seconds that will turn enemies into chickens. I think the problem is, how long do they get turned into a chicken, is the question. And I think it's a few seconds, maybe like 3 seconds or so. I know it's a decent amount of time. And so the question is, it says they bleed for 12% weapon damage as physical, but it doesn't say how often. It doesn't say for how long. It doesn't say what the ticks are. So my assumption on this would be, is it 12% weapon damage per second? In which case, with, say, maybe 3-second chicken duration, we'd be looking at 36% weapon damage. Again, I just don't see that Painful Transformation, as cool as it kind of sounds, ever being better than Jinx. And of course, then you've got Hedge Magic, which is just an excellent version of Hex, where the fetish, if he cannot hex something, then he can still at least heal. So I find Hedge Magic to be a far better choice of Hex, simply because it can be used against bosses, which the other versions cannot. Well, Angry Chicken can, because it turns you into a chicken, which I just... I don't know. I guess Angry Chicken could have its uses. I originally called it the most useless skill in the game, but... You know, I have heard, you know, that it can be useful. It does increase your run speed, so you can use it for farming builds. Of course, that ties into the whole efficiency thing of quickly moving between enemies. Since I don't really care about efficiency and moving fast between monsters, I mean, it's still kind of blah to me. But oh well, enough about that. We're going to go ahead and grab the Painful Transformation, and we had one more, didn't we? Yes. So it looks like instead of Soul Harvest, we're going to have Mass Confusion. So I'm going to lose my healing, but I think this will be worthwhile, because Mass Confusion is another ability that centers from my character. It's a point-blank AoE. So I have to be standing where it's done. So since my current strategy is to Spirit Walk into a group of enemies and Soul Harvest, I'm going to just Spirit Walk into them in Mass Confusion, which should work just as well. Mass Hysteria causes up to 6 enemies who aren't confused to be stunned for 3 seconds. So what I'm assuming this will do is that any enemy, like maybe some kind of elite that can't normally be confused, will then at least be stunned. So it's possible that this could be useful against, again, like boss creatures. So it's kind of like you're looking at hedge magic for hex. Even though they can't hex the bosses, it can still do healing. In this case, we look at mass confusion. If it can't confuse a boss, at least it should be able to stun them, because almost every boss in the game is pretty much stunnable from what I've seen. So that sounds good. We're going to give it a shot. I have never really used mass confusion a lot. Now the big problem here is, of course, it does have a 60-second cooldown, so it's going to be quite few and far between. Yeah, a whole minute cooldown. That's a shame. We'll give it a shot. Oh, hello. Forgot I did that. Yeah, so here we go. Flaming dart. I want to try something here. Let's kind of see what kind of kiting potential this has. You can see it shoots 1,000. It's about less than a second before I can move again. So let's go ahead and do splinters. Gotta wait for the cooldown. So fire those out. I'm loving these exploding dogs, by the way. Alright, so okay, it looks like I was wrong on my assumption about the darts and splinters, because it had been so long since I've used splinters. I assumed that splinters would have a longer grace period between when you fired it when you can move. So it feels like it's about the same. However, the other difference between splinters and flaming dart still stands, that since you're firing 3 projectiles, there is still a possibility that you can miss with one of the separate projectiles, so instead of doing 180, you might be doing less. Overall, it's a minor issue. Again, it pretty much differentiates itself between doing poison damage and this flaming dart doing, of course, fire damage. So let's see if we can't find ourselves maybe an elite group to test this mass confusion on. Since we just hit the ruins level 2, it shouldn't be too hard to find one, because there's usually one right at the end or beginning of these second levels. Alright, well, I'm just going to go ahead and... Didn't mean to do that. Oh well. Now, it ignites the dart. I don't think it does AoE damage. That'd be something worth looking into. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, because it doesn't say it explodes.
Need help.
Yeah, slacking the ability to heal through, back. Go ahead and use it. This is going to be the downside of this build. So unfortunately, the items I was given were Hex, Confusion, Poison Dart. I would have to remove... Let me see. I kind of hate to get rid of the Gargantuan in a setup like this. Spirit Walk is not necessary. I could put something in with healing. Question would be what? I guess I could get... I don't know, because Spirit Walk into Mass Confusion is great. A great combination. It's hard to say what I could possibly get rid of for healing. I guess I'm just going to have to be a little more careful about kiting.
The world looks so different in this age.
How?
It is tired and heavy with sorrow.
She's not very upbeat, is she? I'm kind of missing Cormac's quirky go-get-'em attitude. So far, I'm not overly caring for this build. It seems that without a reliable form of crowd control or healing, I'm having a difficult time. I'm going to keep giving it another shot, though. I'm trying to summon my fetish on cooldown. See if that helps. I've been reluctant to use my Mass Confusion since it has a minute-long cooldown. So I tend to be saving it in case I absolutely need it.
Do you see that enemy?
Here we go.
Let us cleanse it from this land.
So let's go in and then Mass Confusion. Not bad. Look at him. You can see I've got a couple of them just fighting each other. Oh, Desecrator. About to lose a Gargantuan. Become a chicken. So I suppose the one thing that the bleed damage is good for is in a case like this where I'm having to kite a lot. If I can't hit the enemy, obviously 20% additional damage means nothing if I can't hit them, right? So in this case, the bleed will work as long as I get the fetish summoned and it hits the enemy with it.
Need help.
So, okay, I can kind of see the usefulness there. It helps when I have to kite quite a bit and I can't hit them myself.
Healed.
There we go. Mass Confusion is definitely a really good spell. It's just, I'm not sure I want something with such a long cooldown. It is definitely useful. I think I was having a bit more fun with the other one, though. Oh well, not a big deal. Gonna get to the end of this, and it looks like we're gonna get close to winding down and closing up on this video. Not bad. Not a bad haul. So real quick, I was going to talk about once more the Diablo Digest, and again, thanking everybody. Honestly, I'm overwhelmed by the positive response, and again, thanks everybody for coming by, and those of you who have subscribed anew, and again, to all of you who have been here from the start. It's been a great journey. I've rather enjoyed it. I wanted to talk about very quickly some of the criticism that has been in either comments or on the forum posts, as I did post it on Diablo Fans. And to my surprise, there really wasn't a lot. I was expecting more negative feedback, or there was definitely some debate, but not a ton. So I think that's what I'm surprised by, that it didn't seem as divisive as I was expecting. So there was one about my argument towards the auction house. I have to apologize slightly on that one, as I do admit that my counterpoint to the argument was basically showing self-restraint, and it was pretty much pointed out to me that, you know, hey, the argument against the auction house is typically accompanied with the item drop changes, and I didn't see that. I didn't know that they walked hand in hand, that a lot of the arguments about having a no auction house option was to also increase the item drop rate. And I didn't see that because I consider them two separate issues, quite honestly. So I will fully admit that I was probably a little harsh on that one. Oh boy. So that is definitely my fault for not entirely looking into that and making some slight assumptions on that one. But I do think they can still be considered separate issues, as I believe there can be item changes that can be made while keeping the auction house. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we all know that Blizzard's just really not going to get rid of it. I mean, unless they do a drastic change in their school of thought. Oh, I can charm him. Interesting. I'm thinking that's only going to be for bosses. Unless they do a drastic change in their school of thought, they're going to keep it because people like the auction house. So we all know that. And I have another counter-argument about that, about having a no auction house option or checkbox. I mentioned this in my forum posts, is that the problem with that is it further divides the game-playing community or player base that Diablo has. As of right now, everybody's already divided into two camps. You've got your hardcore, you've got your softcore. And those players cannot interact with each other, pretty much. If you were to add a no auction house option, then you would once again be dividing them. So not only do we have two camps, we've got four. You've got regular, and then regular no auction house, hardcore, hardcore no auction house. And that just completely divides things, and I think that's really not a grand idea. Because it can cause, especially when it comes to, say, new players or people that want to play with their friends, what happens if you decided you wanted to be no auction house but your friend wanted to be auction house? You know, it can cause a division. It can cause a problem. Not only that, but I think it's kind of a technical nightmare for them to do something like that, so I don't think that's ever going to happen. I'm going to be very honest with you. I do not think that's ever going to happen. But I do think the item drops can change. Now, I didn't go over this in the Diablo Digest, but I do feel that they have to be very careful with this, and there was actually a blue post regarding this, that they understand that any changes they make to items, so for example, they were talking about reducing how many items drop and increasing their the capabilities that they have, having better stats. Now that's going to greatly affect the crafting
Men in your land
in
really
general.
dress in that manner?
Some wear less. Why?
Oh, I was merely curious.
You know, she's mentioned the nakedness before, and it was a completely different conversation, and each time it amuses me. Okay, if they drop less items, then obviously crafting mats are going to be in less supply. And of course, they're going to have to adjust things, and they've already talked about that. And this is why this is one of those changes that's not going to happen overnight. So they know that whatever they do is going to drastically affect the auction house, it's going to drastically affect crafting, and they want to take all that into consideration before doing it. I'm glad they are taking this seriously. Contrary to what might be popular belief, Blizzard is full of very smart people. They consider a lot of ramifications in a lot of the decisions they make, some that a lot of us may not even consider. So they usually have a lot of this well in hand, even though they do make mistakes. And sometimes they think that some things are going to be an issue that never become an issue. Blizzard has been known to course correct and then oversteer when it comes to things. So, again, I know they're not perfect. I don't expect them to be. I just like the fact that they are willing to try and learn and try and correct when they need to, which I think gives them a leg up over any of their competition. So I'm glad to see they are taking it seriously, keeping that in mind. Oh gosh, really? They trapped me in the wall. There we go. Another criticism that I just kind of responded to tonight was in regards to the video. I pretty much got only really one negative comment, and again, to me that's just remarkable. But it was about the digest thing in general being kind of very kind of shallow, not in depth, and novice. And so, you know what, I'll take that. It's fine. Now the problem is, and I did respond to this, is that there wasn't much I could really take from that, especially to improve, because it was very broad and very base. Now granted, he didn't say that, hey, your video, it wasn't one of those responses like, your video sucks, you know, uninstall, blah, blah, blah. So it was a little more involved, and he, you know, the gentleman definitely put some thought into it, and at the very least, you know, wasn't confrontational and basically started off with, you know, thanks for providing this, but I feel like this. So, you know, that's great. I'm not going to take that as an attack post or anything like that. I think that would be going too far to expect that. I think it would be going too far to consider it attack or anything like that. It was not, doesn't look like it was meant to be that. But I think the problem is... Oh, hi, buddy. It really, I hate to say it, just didn't really supply me a lot of information that would help me to change anything. Now that being said, the Diablo Digest was intended to be just a kind of a report on the news, and it was kind of a first impressions, again, kind of like a first impressions video you might do for a game review or something, like looking at the very beginning to see, you know, rather than playing the whole thing, because a lot of people will gain interest in something from the very beginning. This was kind of my way of reviewing the news that way. I was kind of looking at the news and I wanted to say, okay, what are my initial thoughts on this? And then, of course, we could always go in depth into it later. That, and it was such a wide range of topics that I had to cover over the time that I had, that I kind of expect...
Oh, thank you. They captured us to use as bait. Please, take anything you need from the cellar. We owe you everything.
Indeed. Nothing really to take, but thanks anyway. So it was very difficult to go into anything super in-depth, or, you know, there was just so much to go over. Now, let me also state, though, that I will fully take the whole novice thing, although, well, let's just say I expect that, and I don't want anyone to come over here and thinking that I believe I'm like a Creparian or a Athene or anything like that. That's not my purpose. That's not the kind of in-depth conversation I'm really looking to get into. I am pretty much your average gamer. Maybe I consider myself slightly above average. I definitely don't consider myself a major authority on gaming in general, though I have played a lot of games. I feel that I have some insight, and I feel that I can process a lot of the information that's coming out about the game and respond to it in a useful critique. If you're looking for super high-end play and super high-end conversation, then by all means, you've got like Athene and Creparian or whatever. I'm not sure how much covering they're giving lately, but you know, there are players out there for that. But again, you know, if there are things that could be covered, I would like to know what those kind of topics you're looking for are. You know, like this gentleman, you know, granted I'm taking a critique, but I would like to know what were the actual issues. What would you, because it was like, this is kind of superficial, it's doesn't go in depth. It's like, okay, well, how far in depth do you want to go? And you're saying it's kind of a novice topic. I'd like to know, well, then what would you expect to talk about to bring it up to the level that you think it should be? Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be things I will go over, because again, I'm going to fully admit I'm not top of the line gamer or player. I play very many games, and I think it shows that I can play most of the games I pick up reasonably well, but I don't really master any of them, so therefore I can't really be a super major authority on any of them. You can kind of see that with other gamers out there or YouTubers that cover a lot of different topics. You might notice that they might not be great at everything, but they can do a reasonable job at most things. And that's kind of where I place myself, at least how I feel. Anybody's willing to feel, you know, that wants to feel different, that's fine. I'm going to continue to keep my confidence in check as much as I possibly can, because trust me, there are confidence issues. It's okay. I get over them. So I wanted to thank everybody that did provide the criticisms, and to the gentleman that did provide that, I'd be more than willing to listen to hear more. Assuming he listens to this particular video, probably won't, but hey, you know, it's there, and I wanted to go ahead and express that. Alright, we're getting to the point we're going to fight Maghda, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then that will be the end of this. Of course, before we move on, we have to fight Shatterbone, who I believe recently got himself a nerf, which is honestly a good thing. My problem with Shatterbone: if you've ever fought Shatterbone as a melee, you know that he is a pain in the ass. He has this capability of getting like frenzy, like using frenzy basically, like the barbarian does, where over time he starts to do a faster and faster attack. It was basically after a couple attacks, he didn't attack that, like that one right there. It's his charge move, right? It's the one that you're supposed to see coming and thus dodge. And there was a problem where every time he used it, it got faster until the point where it was pretty much instant. My barbarian died to this guy multiple times just because I could not avoid the attack. I couldn't. I would sit there, I would fight him. Oh gosh, he's a chicken. Nice, he's a chicken. I love it. Yeah, he would just bam, it would be like over in an instant. Against that, oh man, I can't do hardcore. I just don't think I could ever do hardcore. As much as I know a lot of people would love to see hardcore and they consider that like the way to play, I'm like, I just can't do it. Especially not in this series where I'm experimenting so much. I'm like, experiment with builds all the time. I take risks. I don't play very safe. Yeah, playing hardcore for this whole thing would be bad. Not be good at all. But I'm glad they fixed him. He seemed to be much better, although he did kill my gargantuan. Alright, here we are with Maghda. What we're going to do is we're going to test out this mass confusion. I want to see if it works on her and if it stunned her. Yep, there it is. Okay, so we can see that it is intended for the bosses, as it can stun a boss like Maghda, which is great. So, Maghda is one of those bosses that, even as a melee, I didn't really have a hard time. But the hardest time I had with Maghda as a barbarian, well, aside from here, because when she did, back when Inferno wasn't nerfed, those guys would kill me practically instantly. But aside from that, the hardest part was predicting the butterflies and making sure I moved if one was about to hit me really hard. Overall, she wasn't bad. I mean, if I could take out her minions here, before the whole Great Inferno nerfs that occurred, pretty much I would just run around in huge circles, and I would just, every now and then, the moment I could get one of her guardians alone, since they would all four chase me down, I would just run around these corners very sharply and just keep running and just play the waiting game. You know, waiting until there was an opportunity that one of them was separate by himself, and just then I would just lay into him and then run away again until I could do it again. And it was just very much a waiting game. I remember playing multiplayer games and being the sole survivor multiple times and just doing this whole running around the enemy thing until I could get a chance to revive everybody. So here she's not really a big deal. I'm taking a lot more damage than I really should, but so it looks like she can't be chickenified. I'm about to get mass confusion back, so let's go ahead and take out the minions with it. I could stun her, but of course she's immune while her bubble is up. I'd rather use it on the minions than herself, because she, by herself, is not a big deal. Just avoid the butterflies, or moths, or whatever they are.
Let your spirit be at ease, Daggard Cain. The Coven will trouble these lands no more.
She was consumed by shadow. It pains me to see it.
Thank you very much, my friend Witch Doctor. I thank you for stopping the Coven, who destroyed me. She's a bitch.
Alright, we are done here. That is the end of Maghda. Let's just make sure there's not another conversation in here for her. No, apparently not. Looks like there is one for Shen. So let's go ahead and get to that.
Oh, the Jewel of the East! Chaldeum is really quite amazing. I have never seen anything quite like it. And I have seen so many things in my life.
Chaldeum is not actually a jewel, it is just a name.
That explains quite a bit, actually.
I like he's very plain with him. It's like, it's not a jewel, it's a name. Funny. All right, well, that's going to conclude this one. I've got a lot of editing to do because that was actually about 2 hours worth of recording, so I'm going to get to that, and I want to thank you all for watching. I do apologize for the slightly disjointed topics of conversation this time around. As you all know, I kind of do this off the cuff, so I kind of have a vague idea of things I might want to talk about. I don't have a list in front of me usually, and of course, while I'm playing, I can get distracted or other things might come up, and it's all pretty much what comes up in the top of my head at the time. So this is obviously very informal. But I know it was probably a bit more disjointed this time than usual because I really had a lot on my mind, especially when it came to the Diablo Digest. That's, again, I feel like it's been a great success, and I'm very thankful. And honestly, thanks to the Diablo fan guys who put that on the main page. It's been great. I mean, anytime something gets on their page, it's like an instant boost, and boom, just tons of hits. And it's good to see. And yeah, just thanks to everyone, honestly. I can't say that enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, I shall see you next time.